This is the Ohio AgNet from the voice you know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF. Visit with your local ag retailer about 0% financing on all BASF crop protection, seed treatment, and Zetavo brand soybeans now through March 15th. I'm Ty Higgins. Powered by soy biodiesel, today's midday broadcast comes from the Kalmbach Agribusiness Conference. Visit kalmbachfeeds.com to learn more about their complete line of products. And get ready to see the future of farming. Join Ag Revolution for the Ohio Massey Ferguson Roadshow March 18th at the Pickaway County Fairgrounds in Circleville. Learn more and RSVP at agrev.com. I'm in Washington, D.C. for the 80th Ohio Farm Bureau County President's Trip. Had a chance to visit with Dr. John Newton. He's Vice President of Public Policy with American Farm Bureau. And yeah, he's got some Ohio ties.
I do have some Ohio ties.
Yeah.
OH.
I-O. A lot to talk about. You know, when we came, our agenda, of course, had the Farm Bill. It, of course, had USMCA. It, of course, had trade, year-round E15. But now, just something else to add to the list is higher input prices as we get into the 2026 planting season. What are you and your team working on as far as that goes, and where do you see this heading?
Well, we've been working really around the clock. You know, even this weekend I was on the phone with the White House, on the phone with USDA, and you know, input costs were already record high and commodity prices were already historically low. And so after the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and knowing that so much of the global fertilizer market moves through that strait, we knew we had a problem on our hands. And so we sent a letter to the White House yesterday from President Duvall urging President Trump to provide safe passage for our fertilizers. If we're going to be able to do that for oil, we should do it for fertilizers. Let's make sure that those vessels have insurance. Let's look at other solutions as well. Can we look at these countervailing duties that we have on fertilizer? Can we take those off? Can we relax the Jones Act so that we could move product between ports? Can we make sure when the fertilizer gets here that we're leveraging our rail and barge assets to get it where it needs to be in rural America? And it's a priority, as you mentioned, because it is planting season. Yeah, and this time of year, timing is everything. And I'm hearing from producers as we speak that you know, they waited on their bridge payment from the government in order to be able to afford those inputs. Now they go shop for them. They can't even price them or take them back to the farm because the dealers want to wait to see what the market does. What are you hearing on that front, and is there workarounds around this as we get closer and closer to planting season? Well, we were real concerned last week about potential price gouging. And I think the good news is we're starting to hear quotes are being issued, prices are being set, deliveries are being set for fertilizer, which is a good thing. But knowing that we import, you know, 25% of our fertilizers through the months of March and April, knowing that many producers, like you said, didn't pre-book. So, you know, they're trying to make sure they've got their needs. And you need fertilizer at a particular point in time to apply to the seed. It's not something you can wait on months and months and months for. So, again, this is a critical juncture for agriculture and food security and national security. If we cannot feed ourselves, that is a big problem. We did see some movement on the positive side as far as the Farm Bill goes here in Washington just about a week ago. It got out of the House Ag Committee. But with that said, still a long way to go in order to get a new modernized Farm Bill. First of all, next steps. And secondly, again, timing is everything. If we don't get this done by the August recess, when's the next time we could even think about a Farm Bill? Well, I think you know, Senator Bozeman is starting to look at, you know, what does it look like to get a Farm Bill, you know, out of committee in the Senate. I know Chairman Thompson's looking and has a commitment from leadership to get floor time for his bipartisan Farm Bill. So I think, you know, there's an opportunity yet this Congress to get something done. A lot of the heavy lifting for the Farm Bill is actually done in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That's where a lot of the money for the risk management programs, the conservation programs, the animal disease and response programs, that was all in the One Big Beautiful Bill. This is easy stuff. This is loan limits for farmers. You know, loan limits haven't been adjusted in nearly a decade, and we know input costs have gone up 40%. That should be overwhelmingly bipartisan to move something like that forward. So I'm hopeful that we can get it done, but it takes the members being engaged on the Hill, talking to their leaders about why we need to get this farm bill done.
A lot of work to do here over the next 3 days, but Dr. John Newton does it 365 here in Washington with the American Farm Bureau, their Vice President of Public Policy. Good to see you and good to visit with you. Thanks for the insights.
Nice to see you. Appreciate it.
Our full conversation can be found right now at ohioagnet.com, and you can follow full coverage all week long on our social media channels. Tomorrow's midday broadcast, in fact, coming from Washington, D.C., brought to you by Ohio Farm Bureau. Let's get a check of the forecast brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
Overall, showers and thunderstorms working through the state. I think we have to pencil in anywhere from 1/2 to 2 inches across Ohio. Coverage 100%. Still have a threat for some strong thunderstorm action, maybe even some severe in west, central, and central parts of the state later this afternoon into this evening. I don't think it's a big deal. Really feel that the best threat of strong thunderstorm action stays farther west in Indiana. But you get the idea. Moisture's there. We move forward and go through tomorrow with much colder air in play. I think we see a mix of clouds and sunshine as we clear out a bit behind the front. On Friday, we are still chilly, watching a clipper pass by over the Great Lakes. That throws some cloud cover down our way, maybe a few spits and sprinkles in northern parts of the state, but nothing else. Not as cold Saturday with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Have a mild Sunday before a frontal boundary comes through and brings more rain. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. Market analysts got some new data from USDA yesterday to chew on. With the details, here's Joel Penorwood.
USDA released their March World Ag Supply and Demand Estimates report on Tuesday, and the WASDE made very few changes domestically for the major crops, leaving U.S. balance sheets for corn, soybeans, and wheat largely unchanged from February. The market still had places to go. For corn, USDA continues to project a record 17.02 billion bushel crop, yields at 186.5 bushels per acre. Total U.S. use is forecast at just over 13.1 billion bushels, with exports at 3.3 billion. Ending stocks came in at 2.13 billion bushels, and the season average farm price estimated at $4.10 per bushel. Globally, corn ending stocks increased slightly as Brazil's production raised while Argentina's crop trimmed. Soybean numbers also mostly steady. U.S. ending stocks remain at 350 million bushels, with crush raised slightly to 2.575 billion. Exports unchanged at 1.575 billion, and the average farm price stays at $10.20 per bushel. For wheat, U.S. ending stocks unchanged at 931 million bushels. The average farm price did tick up slightly to $4.95 per bushel. Overall, analysts called it a mostly neutral report with slightly bearish implications from the increase in global corn stocks. More online at ohioagnet.com, where Doug Tenney of Lice Mercantile has an in-depth recap. I'm Joel Penorwood reporting.
Thank you, Joel. The new eFields report has some insights about 2025. Joe Everett has that story.
Researchers with the Ohio State University Extension says the 2025 growing season offered plenty of lessons for Ohio farmers, and many of those takeaways are highlighted in the latest eFields research report. The 2025 report includes 102 on-farm trials across 29 Ohio counties, looking at everything from nutrient and disease management in corn and soybeans to biological products, cover crops, and even the use of drones for seeding and spraying. Interest in organic systems are also growing, with more organic-focused trials added this year. Weather was one of the biggest challenges last season. Many farmers dealt with tight planting windows that pushed some planting into June, followed by hot overnight temperatures in July and drought conditions in August. Despite those hurdles, farmers still gathered valuable data. To learn more, you can find this full article today at ohioagnet.com. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Joe, thank you. The Ohio AgNet continues after this.
Ohio farmers are excited about the approval of Striax dicamba herbicide for in-crop soybean use. For a limited time, B&B AgVantages in Conover, Ohio, are reopening cash discounts and financing on Asgrow soybeans. This is a fantastic opportunity to return to the proven yield performance of Asgrow soybeans and the strong weed control system of the XtendFlex system. Orders must be placed and paid for by March 13th. Contact B&B AgVantages for details at 937-368-3880.
Life on the farm moves fast, and so does the news that matters to you. Stay ahead with the Digital Daily from Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal. Each morning, get the top ag headlines, market trends, weather updates, and the stories shaping Ohio agriculture, all delivered right to your inbox. It's free, it's easy, and it keeps you informed before the day gets going. Sign up now at ohioagnet.com for the Digital Daily and get yours first thing in the morning.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins. You may or may not know that Ohio is the #1 producer of Swiss cheese in the country, but what does the overall dairy industry mean to the state? Brianna Smith has more in today's featured audio.
Joining me today is Stephen Kane, principal with Hartman Analytics, a new economic contribution analysis commissioned by the Ohio Dairy Producers Association and the American Dairy Association Mideast is taking a closer look at the role dairy plays in Ohio's economy, from jobs on the farm to its broader economic impact across the state. Stephen joins us to share what the research is showing about Ohio's dairy industry.
We know that the dairy industry is important to those who work in agriculture and those who love dairy products, but what about for the economy of Ohio? How does the dairy industry impact Ohio's economy?
Yeah, dairy farming is incredibly important to Ohio's economy. We have just started some research. We've got some preliminary results on the economic contribution of dairy farming to the state's economy. In terms of employment, it's incredibly strong. Supports over 11,000 jobs in the state, just the dairy farming sector. That doesn't even get into the processing, retailing, wholesaling of dairy products. Just dairy farming, over 11,000 jobs. Economic contribution, over $2.7 billion contributed and supported in Ohio's economy. So this is not a small industry. It's incredibly important to the overall economy here in Ohio.
What do you see as the biggest challenge to growth in the dairy industry here in the state?
Yeah, some of the challenges, and it's not just here in Ohio, but it's in other parts of the country as well, is just making sure that we have the ability to grow in a way that is economically profitable, but also environmentally sustainable. This is a challenge that we're always facing, in making sure that our small and medium-sized dairy farms have that opportunity to grow and be profitable and be sustainable in the long run, and not just our large dairy farms, but making sure that we have an environment to operate in which all dairy farms can be successful.
Can you give me a kind of an update on the current state of the dairy industry today?
Yeah, we're in a little bit of a challenged environment today. We have a lot of milk in the United States today. I think Ohio is up as well, but in terms of overall milk production in the U.S. on a component adjusted basis, we're up over 5%, in the last month of data that we have. So we have incredibly strong milk production. Demand has been good in certain areas. Retail demand has been strong. Food service demand has been challenged, especially on the quick service kind of fast food side, which is a heavy utilization of processed cheese and other cheese products. So the demand on the food service side is a little shaky, but in general, that high milk production environment paired with normal to maybe a little challenged demand here domestically is creating an environment where prices are a little challenged. We've seen a little bit of growth here over the last few weeks in terms of growth on the CME in terms of the markets, but overall we are in a tough supply environment, which I think for the next little bit is going to make a little bit of a challenging environment here for the dairy sector. But in long term, we have growth and processing taking place across the country, which is going to be supportive of this milk production growth. So we're just in a near-term kind of challenged environment, but setting ourselves up for long-term growth.
Excellent. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Reporting for Ohio's Country Journal and Ohio AgNet, I'm Brianna Smith.
We'll check the markets and news behind the numbers after this on the Ohio AgNet.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins. Today's market analysis brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Well, there was a lot of data that came out yesterday on the WASDE report. Probably the biggest interesting fact in the market yesterday was watching energy market numbers. Crude oil dropped dramatically, at one point down over $17 a barrel. Big changes there, as there were competing stories as to whether or not the U.S. military now is offering assistance and escort of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. That's what really dropped it. I'm Ryan Martin.
Ryan, thank you. Markets on the Ohio AgNet brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. Not a lot of movement for the corn overnight, with March unchanged, 436 and a quarter, May 452 and a quarter, and now unchanged. Soybeans for March, no change, 1187 and a quarter, May 1207 a bushel, up by 5 and a quarter. Wheat for July, 602, down by a penny and a quarter. September wheat down a penny and a quarter at 615 and 3/4. This is the Ohio AgNet.